The lantern flickered violently in Elias, Morgan's trembling hand as he stepped deeper into the rotting heart of Black Hollow Forest. The blood-red moon high above, casting twisted shadows across the gnarled bone-white trees that seemed to breathe. In sync with the forest's unnatural silence, and every step forward felt like a descent into something not just haunted, but alive in a way that defied human comprehension. He had come searching for his sister Maya, who had vanished 6 nights ago during the lunar eclipse after becoming obsessed with local legends. Stories of a phantom bride who stalked the woods during blood moons, screaming for a groom who never came and dragging intruders into her world of mourning and madness, her face hidden beneath a veil soaked in centuries of blood. Elias had never believed such tales, dismissing them as folklore twisted over time, but as he passed between 2 ancient, barkless trees that curved inward like fangs over a mouth, he realized that the forest didn't care about belief, it only cared about presence, about blood, about payment, and it had been waiting, hungry and patient, for someone just like him. The ground was soft, too soft, like walking over old flesh rather than soil, and with every step he felt pulses beneath his boots, faint but present, like veins carrying something foul beneath the surface. The fog thickened, not drifting like mist but crawling like it had limbs, weaving around his legs and lantern like it was inspecting him, testing him, and the moment he thought to turn back, the path behind him vanished as if swallowed whole. Panic set in then, a cold, dry panic that clawed at his throat and whispered doubts directly into his mind in a voice that sounded like Maya's but wrong, galligated wet, like breath through water, and the trees now seemed to face him, their bark peeling like skin, revealing faces beneath, twisted and screaming in eternal silence. He tried calling out, tried shouting her name, but the sound died a foot from his mouth, swallowed by an oppressive silence so dense it felt like cotton in his lungs. And then came the laughter, faint at first, but growing, a sound like a woman, choking on glass while laughing at a joke only the dead understood. And through the fog emerged a shape in white, floating inches above the ground, her dress moving despite the stillness, her hair tangled like spiderwebs caught in wind that didn't exist, and her veil shifting with each motion, as if alive itself. Elias froze, every cell in his body screaming to run, to fight, to pray, but his limbs wouldn't obey. And when she lifted her head and that veil blew aside, he saw a face, not human, not corpse, but something between a void where features should be, save for 2 red burning eyes and a mouth that stretched impossibly wide, filled with rows of rotted childlike teeth that clicked together rhythmically, like a metronome counting down to his end. She spoke then, in a voice not from her mouth but from everywhere, from inside his own mind, a chant in an ancient tongue that twisted his thoughts and made his nose bleed, and with each word the world bent, the trees began to sway, though there was no wind, the moon pulsed like a heart overhead, and the earth beneath cracked open with sighs of steam and the scent of old rot. He turned and ran, heart screaming in his chest, lantern swinging wildly as branches tore at his face and whispers swelled to screams. But every direction led him back to her, to that clearing with the dead tree and hanging veils, and now Maya stood beneath it, her body levitating, eyes glowing, her skin etched with black veins that pulsed in rhythm with the bride's chant. She opened her mouth, and 1,000 voices poured out, a flood of grief and rage and agony so thick it knocked Elias to his knees, his mind fracturing under the weight of memory. Not his own weddings turned funerals, rivers filled with veiled corpses, altars soaked in blood, and a child bride sealed inside a wooden box beneath the chapel floor 200 years ago. Her final scream, never dying, only echoing through roots and wood and story until someone Maya heard it clearly, enough to answer. The bride approached, now no longer floating but dragging herself across the ground with elongated limbs that left trails of red mist, and her mouth opened again, wider than before, wider than anything human, and from it emerged a scream that peeled bark from trees, shattered the lantern glass, and made Elias's ears bleed as his body convulsed. Then everything went black, not like sleep or fainting, but like death. Consciousness dissolved in endless dark. But somehow, he woke again, this time in the chapel, a rotting building that should not exist, surrounded by pews filled with skeletal witnesses dressed in moldy lace, watching a wedding ceremony unfold in reverse as Maya stood at the altar, lips sewn shut, veil blood-streaked, while the priest beside her bled from empty eye sockets and read from a book that seemed to bleed ink down his arms. Elias tried to move but couldn't. He was part of the altar now, woven into the wood, fused with the chapel's bones, and when Maya turned to him and smiled with sewn lips, the bride appeared beside her, now fully formed, regal, grotesque, divine in her horror, placing her hand upon his chest where his heart once beat, and he felt her claim him, rewrite him, erase his name, and fill the void with a scream so loud it echoed through time. Centuries passed in a breath, and when his eyes opened once more, he was standing in the woods, lantern in hand, beneath the blood-red moon that never moved, never faded, never forgave. The forest was silent, waiting, and Elias now understood. He had not survived, had not escaped, had not been spared. He had been chosen, transformed, made into something new, something necessary. Another ghost in the machine of the forest's hunger, doomed to stand at the border and beckon others in with flickering lights and phantom whispers, his soul the bait on a hook he could never remove. And so he waits, beneath the howling canopy, calling out with a voice no longer his, telling the next traveler that someone they love is lost inside and needs saving. And as footsteps echo through the woods once more, the blood moon smiles above. The bride opens her arms, and the cycle begins again.